Bastards! Today we're going to talk about nuclear disasters. Yeah, can't drink, so I will take this off. Alright, today we're going to talk about nuclear disasters. And I will split this in several sections, and so because it's a wide and difficult topic, so I will do it in certain segments. I will probably do first this segment, home preparedness for regular nuclear disasters. Then I'll do a segment about what to do in CBRN suits. Then probably what to do in with nuclear weapons or dirty bombs, and probably some other points if I can group them together. But first of all, this clip will be about home preparedness for just a nuclear disaster. Nuclear disaster. What do we think about? Well, I would say a nuclear disaster from is like in an accident is more probable than a nuclear war. So I would, if you can prepare for an accident, you can prepare for a war. I would say. So start with that, with the most likely thing. Nuclear accidents can happen, like a nuclear power plant that has a meltdown, like in Chernobyl, Fukushima, 3 Mile Island, etc. Another thing that could happen is like a waste. How do you say this? A place where nuclear waste was dumped. Could like in a lake they used to do in the Soviet Union. I forgot the name because it was a difficult name. But the problem was, it was a lake where they dumped nuclear materials and waste, and the lake dried up, and all the dust flew over a whole wide area and contaminated several towns and cities. So it was this almost as bad as Chernobyl, actually. What else could happen? Some with the transport of nuclear weapons. Even in peacetime, there could be an accident, like in 1952, I think, in Palorames. A B-52 bomber with plutonium bombs crashed, and it contaminated the whole area with plutonium. So that's also a way that an accident could happen, even if it's a nuclear weapon. There are several other examples. Perhaps some waste from a power plant is being transported on a train, and the train derailed. A truck on a highway with nuclear waste gets an accident, and so on. It's even this happened in two. How do you say this? This happened on two occasions. The first one is in Mexico. A hospital was being broken off, and one of the janitors found a medical device, like a scanner, I think, and it worked on nuclear materials, and he thought he could make some money by selling those metals from that device, but it was highly radioactive. So he sold it to a scrapyard, and that metal was used in construction and for buildings. So the government could even literally find the place where the guy has been by just following the road, on the road with the Geiger counter, and they could follow where they has been. So it was that radioactive. So imagine when you have a building built with radioactive iron, where you live for a long time. Even when it's low radiation, it can still give some bad how do you say this, bad side effects, like cancer, leukemia, genetic diseases, or altercations. So miscarriages, those things could be affecting you that way. The same thing happened in Singapore. Some radioactive metal was sold on a scrapyard, and it was used for construction in an apartment. And during decennia, people were exposed to low radiation, but they had a higher rate of illness and other problems, medical problems. So those are ways that nuclear accidents can happen. Um, Today I'm gonna show you just the way, as a normal civilian, how you could prepare, because not everyone can buy or even use a CBRN suit because of physical problems or illnesses or something, or other problems that will prevent you to do such. And yeah, so what is the first thing to do in during a nuclear how do you say this, nuclear accident? I would say first preventive. I will show you within a few minutes what you can buy for prevention. But first of all, prevention is the best thing for prevention is knowledge. Knowledge is power. So first of all, look up about your surroundings. Just study some maps. If I look into the maps and I calculated things a little bit right, the best thing for a nuclear, the most likely place for a nuclear accident in my area is Antwerp, where there is a nuclear power plant, which is the most close by like between 25 or 30 kilometers. So that's if that goes off, I'm right on the edge of the evacuation zone. But I also did some research about the wind, and I discovered that the nuclear plant is more northeast of me, and the wind always comes from the south and the west. So that's a good thing to know when there is a nuclear accident. I can that way I can I will not make a rush decisions, like I will evacuate in just a minute, in a few minutes, because I know usually the wind will blow the other way if there is an accident, so I have more time to prepare and plan my bug out better and such. Or perhaps I can stay even when I'm just outside of the danger zone. So those are things you can just watch for. So knowledge, power, look about the environment. Which suggest also to take when you fear nuclear weapons or such. The nuke map is a site where you can do a simulation of how do you say this, of these nuclear weapons. But it's also interesting to for accidents to see how much radioactivity can impact you. I will show you a small clip with an example of research about that. Alright, this is the nuke map, where you can see how big a nuclear threat can be from all sort of nuclear weapons on Google Maps kind of stuff. So I live around here somewhere. Let's see if the most technical objective, Antwerp in this case, how I would fare. Alright, alright. Not too bad. This is the most probably used Russian nuclear warhead. So I don't even have broken glass from this. So the fallout would be my biggest problem in this case. Even if you put it perhaps in Brussels. Ooh, yeah. I live in the Goldilocks zone. Yeah. All right. Let's try it with let's say, Cherry bomb, biggest nuclear weapon ever tested. Let's detonate this one. Oh no. Oh. Well. Well, that wouldn't be too good. If you can see it. Ooh, damn. Oh, they even took my favorite brewery. Damn it. Oh well. Not a pretty sight. Oh well. Second thing is part of the knowledge is information. I would highly suggest to look up information like army field manuals or other manuals about CBRN warfare, nuclear disasters and such. This is one of those examples. This is the CBRN decontamination multi-service tactics, techniques, procedures for chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear decontamination. This is from NATO. So this book will tell you all about all the calculations, all the methods, procedures. What will the military do? What can civilians do? How to treat people with radioactive sickness or other related illnesses and wounds. How to treat them in such things. How to store your water supplies, food, and such. How to decontaminate everything from vehicles, your gear, your clothes, your body. So everything to do on a safe way in such a thing. So I highly recommend read up, get some information about it, preferably in book form, to be honest, because there are a lot of conflicting materials on the internet when you just Google it. So I would say take it from the real source if you can get your hands on one of those military official head manuals. So, yeah, that's the part about knowledge is power. So now you can begin with just how do you say this? Home preparedness. So, what is the first important thing in home preparedness? Water. When there is a nuclear accident around and there is fallout from when there's a meltdown or even a nuclear bomb or just nuclear waste gets spreaded, it gets spreaded by the wind. The bigger the explosion, like in a nuclear meltdown, the further and the higher it will get in the atmosphere. So I would suggest if you want, if that happens, from the moment you hear there's a nuclear accident, fill up everything that you can fill with water before it could get contaminated. So I'm talking about fill up your sinks, fill up your bathtubs, fill up just buckets, just buckets with water while you can, because the chance is big that the water supply will get contaminated and it will be blocked off by the government to prevent people getting sick. So you need you need a water source and store to rely on that is safe to drink. Like I said, fill everything up with fresh water from the water lines before it get contaminated. Afterwards, don't do it anymore. Just if you can see it, just a have some water in your house. I would suggest to have water, bottled water, for at least 9 weeks. Why 9 weeks? Because even in a big disaster, 9 weeks is the minimum time that will be needed to um, till the wind has blown most of the fallout over the area. So that's the when it gets diluted, so to speak. Next thing for water supply is the good old trusty Berkey filter. Uh, I stay with this thing because it can almost filter anything. If the manual claims it can even filter out alpha particles to a certain point. So even when you use a water source or from containers that might have some contamination, you can put this in the top and it will get filtered out. But I would suggest to do this as a last resort and not just to do it from the beginning. So just to be safe. So first rely on your regular water supply, like uh, bottles and such. So this is the water. Next thing, I would suggest food. Like I said, have at least 9 weeks. Like the 9 weeks of water, you also need 9 weeks of food. Yeah, food is a big problem because you cannot eat fresh food. Everything that comes from outside might be contaminated, so you have to be very careful about. So the food sources I would suggest is have all these emergency rations ready. Like you've probably seen this in previous videos. These are 2,300 calories in packages of 9. Have all the nutrients are in a sealed aluminum foil container. How is it packaged? So It can withstand nuclear contamination a little bit better, but for the sure, keep this deep inside of your house. And the good thing is also when you have small children, you can mix this with water and feed it to small infants as a sort of what's the English name? Porridge. Yeah, it can be used to feed little infants. So emergency rations, a very good way to start off. Second thing, the second best thing to eat in a nuclear disaster are food from tin cans, white tin cans, because the way not only the alpha but beta and alpha and gamma radiation particles. I would say look it up because it's complicated stuff. But alpha will not get on the skin, but will not get through the skin. That's the simple part of it. But when you have a wound over, you ingest it or you breathe it in, then you can get radioactivity sickness from alpha particles. Beta is harder; it can go through even your skin and clothing, and gamma that will fuck you up whether you're inside or not. That's why for gamma radiation particles you need fallout shelters, which will also be a topical in the next videos. But of this series. But when you need food, tin cans are less likely to be contaminated because of the metal casing. So I would suggest fish in oil to get the most proteins and nutritions for a long time. It can taste good and you can bake on the tin can. I will show you in a minute with what you can bake, but I would suggest just tin cans. Good source of food. Make sure that you rotate your tin cans so when you need it, they are not expired. Next thing, yeah, yet again, tin can. Make sure you got vegetables and meats and other essential nutritions in your. What I'm trying to say is, when you have tin cans, try to diversify it so you don't always have to eat beans. To say. So, put this away. If you don't have those, you can still use glass jars. These are also good, but not as good as tin cans, just to make it sure. But this is also a good possibility. Put this away. All right. All right. I will show you the next. You got your food, you got your water. What is the next important thing? That is, I would say, it is a good tip for people who especially live in Belgium. These are Calium Ud tablets. These are for when there is a nuclear disaster, accident, or fallout. The radioactivity can get at, how do you say this? Will fulfill your thyroids around here. So to counter that, you have to take these iodium tablets, and every Belgian civilian can get one package free at their local pharmacies. So if you don't have yet ordered you just go to your pharmacy, you give your identity card, you say I want my iodium tablets, and they will give it for free. So make sure you get your package, so because when there is an accident, it will all be run out very soon and you will not get it when you need it the most. So get your iodium tablets now while you can. Next thing, medical supplies, I would say. Yeah, just your first aid kits should be ready for any wounds that you might suffer, because when you, like I said, with the wounds, when you have a wound, even alpha particles can penetrate it through that opening in the skin. So just how do you say this? Your Israeli bandages in a package, so they are clean when you apply them, and these are a little bit thicker, so when you put it around the wounds. So don't forget the latex gloves, so you don't contaminate while taking care of a wound, and especially disinfectant alcohol to clean up the wounds. And of course soap and clean water, water that you got extra from you need all. I forgot this. You need extra water, not only for drinking but also for cooking, cleaning, cleaning wounds and such. So for cleaning wounds, that that's very important. Get your first aid kit in order in your house. All right. Next thing, cooking. I would say just just home preparedness for when you need to cook inside. You cannot use something that burns a lot of fuel because of monoxide poisoning, smoke, and such. You don't and fire risk. You don't want that, especially not during a nuclear accident. So the best thing you can get is one of those little those camper cookers. These are gas canisters you put beneath, and you can cook meals. I would say get enough gas canisters for at least 9 weeks worth of cooking. So just try to cook with this inside of your house, so you don't need to get outside and get exposed to fallout and perhaps nuclear contamination. All right. Next thing is personal protection. Like you would also always think, just get your gas mask. Of course, don't forget to get sealed, closed off reserve filters, because these will only do it for a certain amount of time. You perhaps cannot always wear this, but sometimes you just need to go outside for some perhaps reason to toss out some waste, which we'll get into a minute, or to get other dirt or waste outside of the house, or to help someone you know and you need to get outside for some reason. Gas mask. Make sure these are rated CBRN gas mask that you. Otherwise, it could be problematic to keep the radioactive particles out. And actually, you need one reserve filter for every time you go outside, because you don't want to take the radioactive filter inside. So don't forget about that when you include your preparedness. When you're improvising, because not everyone has a gas mask. Perhaps you have a gas mask, but when you have partner, children, or perhaps someone who stays over, perhaps you are not you don't have a spare gas mask for them. So I would suggest something that we all use. Perhaps it's less effective, I would say, but just a regular mask for paint jobs. These will filter out particles. These are more for chemical and organic, but they can filter out chemical parts. And just to be sure, we all have safety glasses, so particles don't get into your eyes. So I don't say these help 100%, but it's better than nothing. Oh, and when you wear them, don't forget to wear a hoodie so the particles don't get all around you. So you can improvise some if you don't have any personal protection of this sort. So that's why we need to prepare. Some other protections are just rubber gloves. These are from the CBRN suit. These are very thick materials that you can wear beneath your sleeve, so you don't get too much on your skin when you need to grab something that perhaps is radioactive, or later on. I will show you in a minute what you can use to get these all cleaned when you go from outside to inside. First of all, when you go outside, you need to have a layer of protection around you. So everything that is exposed, you need to see radioactivity as dust particles, dangerous dust particles that gets dragged with the wind or fall down from the atmosphere. So how do we protect ourselves with these? When you improvise, a rain poncho can provide a layer of protection against this radioactive dust that will fall down or get dragged with the wind. It's not that much, but it's better than nothing, to be honest. So it is also very important to keep in your home preparedness, I would say. next thing. Oh yeah, I was going to tell. Oh yeah, I will do this first. Another piece of protection that is very important are these Wellington boots, because regular shoes, when you go outside during an accident, they could have a lot of places where radioactivity could get stuck in. Well, like mud, sand, dust that gets into all the places and the fabric of the shoes. So Wellingtons are perfect for these. These are easy to wash the particles off, easy to get on, easy to get off. And yeah, I would suggest to use these in your home preparedness. If you of course don't have a CBRN suit, which most people don't. And to wash it off, I would suggest this. You've probably seen this from the pandemic, perhaps from the pandemic video, I think. I don't know anymore. But this is one of those sprayers that you use for garden hosing. Oh yeah, I use this also as a manual fire extinguisher, which can be handy. But you can also use this to spray yourself clean when you go from outside to inside during a nuclear accident. You don't want to take any or reduce the amount of radioactivity you take in. So before you go in, you can spray yourself, or you let somebody else spray your everything, your rain poncho, your Wellington boots, your gloves, and wash it off with warm water, especially warm water. Soapy water is the best to use when you try to spray off radioactive particles. These work on a manual pump that you pump. It will be under pressure, and you can spray with a hard beam or just all around that person clean before they go inside, and let the particles dry in a safe area where it's perhaps covered by the wind, against the wind, or a side building or something that you have in your house, your garden house or something. So this can be very handy for your home preparedness in a nuclear disaster. Next things, when there's a nuclear meltdown, there is probably less electricity in the supply, and also because of evacuation, perhaps people cannot get to their work because the traffic jams, because everybody is trying to evacuate. Those are all reasons that there could be a blackout. So you need a source of light. If you don't have a lamp with a dynamo, I would suggest something simple, like just a stock of tea candles and one of those lamps you can put the tea candle in, so you can carry it around. Just when you don't have electricity, or because in a nuclear accident there will probably be less sun for solar panels that you perhaps have. You cannot really rely on wind, because you don't want to get outside and keep your wind turbine going on. Like I said, the grid could be down. So try to have a dynamo for your solar, for just your regular electric lights, or tea candles with a portable lamp. So very important. Power bank for just like I said, so you have some way to keep electricity running, like lamps or other tiny things like your phone, which I forgot, because your phone can also be very important, because you could use this as a radio. You can use it to contact your family, to get a plan ready for evacuation, or try to get together for a bug-in and gather resources or something, or to help people who are less good, who have an illness, or are handicapped, have a physical disability. I mean, and such and such. So always have a cell phone ready with a power bank. Could be very handy. Just another thing. This is one of the survival radios. Why? Because the internet could be down. The news media could be wrong. Well, yeah, they could be disturbed by some reason or interference, or the government is trying to make the problem seem less like they used to, because then you cannot rely on your own government, because that's what they did in Soviet Union. They they denied that anything happened during Chernobyl. So perhaps that's in Belgium it's less likely, but it's also always a possibility, I would say. So just an emergency radio, and you can even get transmissions from countries around you for more clear news that is less perhaps tainted by censor or something. This has a dynamo that you can load this up, so it does not rely on batteries that you have to put in. So that's a good thing, and you have something to listen to how to take your mind off the situation by listening to music or perhaps something like that. And you can learn about your local governments, how do you say, your local authorities, what are they planning, what are their evacuations points, are there rations being distributed to the people, water, where can you, are the hospitals moved or overused or something. You can all learn this information. Is very important. Knowledge is power, like I said in the beginning. uh, Another thing in your home preparedness, I would say, are plastic bags and how do you say this? Isolation duct tape. Why? Uh, these have several things to do. You can do with it. First of all, you can tape off any, how do you say this? Any holes where air can get free into the house, like doors with big openings around them, perhaps a broken window, perhaps a hole in the wall, anything where dangerous particles can get through. To say, you can put plastic bags around it, tape it off, and there is less chance that nuclear contamination is getting inside where you're holding up. The next use for plastic bags is for sanitation reasons. Dirty clothes that are contaminated, waste disposal. Uh, how do you say this? When you need to take a shit, and you can do it in a bag because perhaps the sewers are not being upheld during the disaster or not that good, so there could be problems with sanitation. So you can do this in a bag, tie the bag off, and place it outside till it's safe to get disposed of it. The same thing goes for clothes that are contaminated, perhaps hair. I will talk about that in a minute. And you can close it off with a duct tape and use it as a portable toilet, improvised toilet to say. So that's just an idea that you can do for your home preparedness, and you can use it for all other purposes, just in daily life. Next thing is you will not think of this immediately, but it is one of those manual tondeuses, hair clippers. Why? Because when there is a nuclear disaster, you want to do your hair, you want to cut your hair off. Why? Because, how do I say this? Perhaps you were outside when the disaster happened, and nuclear particles got between all your hair. You don't want to keep that in your hair, so shave your hair off with this manual thing, and there's less chance you get radioactive burns or sickness on your head. So that's a way. I know it's perhaps not fun to do, but in a disaster, you don't want to take radioactivity inside of your house where your children and your partner are. So not many people think about it, but this will be certainly helping. And another thing I want to first say that I forgot: keep pectin, fruit pectin, in your house. Why? Because pectin will help when you eat it and you have digested nuclear particles that perhaps were in the food or in the water. It will help to flush it faster through your system, so you don't have less chance for radioactive sickness or burns inside of your body, especially with alpha particles that are most likely around. And yeah, I think we're almost through. This is the last thing. This is a Geiger counter. This is just one of those home edition models. These are just simply to use. They are used by workers who perhaps have to count how much radioactivity they are on in their workplace for some reasons. So these are just simple ones, but they can help to detect when it's safe to go outside, or when there is an object or person inside of the house that perhaps has a little bit high dose of radioactivity, so you can put them perhaps in quarantine or something, or flush their clothes off, cut their hair off, give them pectin so they can spew out the radioactivity in them, and then it's much safer to keep those people or object inside of your house. Uh, yeah, these are easy to use, not that expensive, so it's you have to take it with a grain of salt when you measure with this, but it's graded, so it should be useful. Yeah, this is the simple civilian. I would say civilian home preparedness for nuclear disasters. This is the first part of a series I'm going to do about nuclear disasters and warfare. So, um, yeah, I hope you learned something from it, that you got some ideas. Uh, Perhaps, yeah, I hope you will never have to use it in practice, to be honest. If you like it, give a like. If you want to subscribe, it would be very helpful. Thank you, and see you in the next video for part 2.